Sony Guthrie, and I'm the group leader for Group 2. And the members of my group are Mary Obrero, Yasmina Amador, Viviana Guerrero, Kristen Iglesias, Jesus Ray, Christian Iglesias, and myself. Also featured in this video will be Ailey Lagrone from Group 3 as Eve, Jacob Willingham from Group 3 as Adam, and Victoria Garcia, not in my English class, as the Holy Spirit. Book 1 asks us which character Milton uses as his muse, and the group came to a conclusion that the Holy Spirit was the muse. The Holy Spirit was Milton's muse, and one group member thought that it was Urania, but Urania is understood to be the Holy Spirit to Milton. For the second question, as to whether Satan's heroism detracts from the story, it was decided that Satan's heroism did not detract from the story, and that his paganistic values were considered to be adding depth to his character, and showed how much of a boastful and arrogant character he really is. For Book 3, most of the group decided that Milton was a good Protestant, and that Martin Luther would agree with his ideals. And for the second question, as to whether God could be viewed as pompous by Milton, there was a disagreement in the group, and a very animated discussion. Satan was viewed as he had the right to revolt because of God's pompousness in his high-throned awesomeness above everybody else. But there was a retort against that God gave up his throne very easily to Jesus, so he could not be viewed as pompous if he so easily gave up his throne to his son and directed all of his praise towards his son. Also, a counter-argument was made that Satan did have the right to revolt against God, because God denied Adam and Eve the right to the tree of knowledge. Well, and that Satan was only curious about why would God deny them knowledge when knowledge should be a right guaranteed to everybody. Well, the full name of the tree of knowledge is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and if man were given the right to choose good and over evil, then they would be assuming the rights of God himself, which is not a duty of a man. But then also there was the question, why put the tree in the garden if man was going to fail and eat the fruit? Well, this is because if you are a leader and you only give your troops one choice, then how do you know that they're loyal to you, and how do you know that they love you as they should when you give them everything? If you give them a choice, it's the same choice that God gave Lucifer. He gave him the choice to either stay as his trusted ally or fall. All of God's angels were made like that, and Satan was not predestined to fall. He was made to follow God, made right is what the story says. And Satan chose his own way and revolted against God and fell. Well, Adam and Eve had the same choice. They were not God's Slavic slaves. He gave them the choice whether they wanted to serve him or whether they wanted to be equal to him, and they chose wrong, as Eve is portrayed doing just now. For Book 4, most of the group said that Satan did become more evil, but others said that he was very remorseful in his actions and that he really regretted falling from heaven. But there was a disagreement with that, because the next lines after Satan's speech, the narrator said that this was the first signs of saintly sin under a saintly guise, that Satan was actually pretending to be remorseful and repentant, but he wasn't. And finally, the question of whether Eve is inferior to Adam was raised. And yes, it was the general consensus of the group that Eve was inferior to Adam. But when you look at Adam and Eve's time period, Eve never really had to do anything other than serve Adam. She was only given the choice. She was only given the job to feed and take care of Adam and worship God. She did not have to do anything that modern women today have to do. So Milton would be considered sexist by those terms alone, because she's just inferior to Adam. But during her time period, she wouldn't have been sexist. And also, Milton's ideals of sexuality during marriage was that it was very pure. Even in biblical times, it was very pure for a man to lie with his wife, and no one should be denied that right. And the only person who would deny that would be Satan. And it is the duty of a married couple to be loyal and faithful to one another, and Milton strongly believed in that. Thank you. This is Stony Guthrie from Group 3, and that is all for today. Thank you.